Coming in just about 3,400 pounds, this is an Apex 193 BHS here at Headboard RV of Coldwater, Michigan. Now, I've done plenty of videos on these. I have current footage of this out there, so why am I recording this today? Because I worked with Apex closely, and I came up with something I'm calling a 194 BHS, which is a 193 Apex with a custom crafted sofa and floating table in the slide out instead of a dinette. You know, when you folks provide that feedback, when you say, boy, I wish I had something like this with a sofa, not a dinette, I do listen, and sometimes I'm actually able to do something about it. Take a look at this. Like all 193 Apexes, when that slide is closed, which is what we're seeing here, you can get to the bunks, the bathroom, the kitchen, the fridge, the everything. But unlike literally any other 193 Apex you have ever seen, I worked directly with Apex to custom build this to fulfill a couple requests that we've had from viewers like you at home. Can I get it with a sofa? Well, I talked to Apex. I said, you use sofas in other floor plans like a 213. Why can't you do it here? And they said, well, because the slide's too deep. And I said, no sweat. Mount the sofa forward in the slide, and what that can let you do is have this nice open pocket back here, because this is a slide built with the intention of a dinette. So you got extra cargo space back here. And the other thing I did is I said, please include a floating folding leg picnic table so that when you are ready to have a bite to eat, you can whip that table out and create yourself a dinofa of sorts. So it's a fresh kind of floor plan that you can't get anywhere else. And if they do start building this, remember, Headboard's had it first. And I gotta say, I am really happy with how this came out. There's some other aspects of this RV that it feels very natural and organic having a sofa here instead of a dinette. And I think the dinette still has its place. We're going to be carrying it both ways here at Headboard RV, but I think that this is going to prove very popular very quickly. So, like, this has always had this headboard right here, and if you notice, there's a set of household and USB outlets right there. So that could be like your CPAP or your phone chargers. But don't those outlets make just a whole lot of sense right here next to this sofa? It makes so much sense to me that it's there. And I swear, this RV, it looks and it feels larger now because the dinette just doesn't seem to occupy so much eye space. It looks good. And the way that they dress that sofa up, because the sofa actually sits on top of the slide. If you notice, the slide does not go all the way to the floor. So it's not like you could get cute and do a theater seat or something jazzy like that. What you can do, however, is put a little sofa there mounted just above the slide floor, and I actually specifically requested them to mount it forward in the slide to leave that pocket behind it, either for generic storage or for that floating table that I mentioned. And to me, it's that table that really makes it work. The sofa's neat, but this is that functional item that you need. Just like the main kitchen counter, that's a sealed edge pressed membrane top on that table. And those lightweight folding legs allow it to fold up out of the way, not occupy storage space, or you could float it outside for picnic time. Now, the dinette that's normally in this can fit 4 people, which is nice, but you can still fit 4 people here. You just have 2 in front, 2 in back. Or you could twist it, turn it the other way. Or you could turn it to be used like if you're sitting on the bed. I mean, it adds more flexible feature and function to this RV than was ever there before. And it still functions as a sleeper of roughly the same size. So, again, you're not really losing anything. I'm not saying it's better. I'm not saying it's worse than the dinette. It's just different, and we like to be able to offer a little bit of each. Now, one of the benefits of this having a deeper than normal slide, if it's just a sofa, most of the time the slide won't be that deep. But because that slide depth was intended for a dinette, it allows you to leave the table back there. And I left the table flipped up so it's just very obvious and perpendicular and in your face to really drive home the fact that even with the bed flipped down, even if you're using this for like generic storage or bag space, or if you put shelf organizers or anything back there, it retains its ability to be functional. You don't have to unload the cargo to get to it. Now, if this happens to be the first time you've seen this floor plan, I'll give you just a quick flyby. You see the 2 single bunks there. We've got a well-appointed kitchen for a small camper. Smart little things like they put the microwave down where an oven would go, because this is a little job, and most of the time people aren't going to be cooking with an oven inside of it. I know there's some people that would, and that's why we carry different campers here at Headboard RV. I'm going to sneeze. pardon me. Whew. Usually there's 3 sneezes in there. I only sneezed twice today, so I got one in the weeds yet. Anyway, full-size fridge freezer is also a nice feature. Completely carpetless, deck here, and no vents in the floor. Great for kids, great for pets, easy reach household outlets, Bluetooth-friendly streaming stereo, and obviously I'm blazing through this because, again, I've done a full walkthrough video tour of an Apex 193 prior. Each bunk has its own light, and I like how they're using the thicker mattresses here like a Rockwood or a Jayco. Now, the bathroom is really one of the areas that they nailed. I mean, I think the bathroom has always been one of the driving forces that's made this the most successful Apex Nano out there. But a full shower, a power vent fan, actually there's another light I forgot to turn on, but the fact that there's a full sink in the bathroom, a normal bathroom, it's not just a toilet and a shower in a closet. But speaking of closets, this bathroom also has a whole dedicated chunk of extra closet storage space here that, again, little campers very often lack. So whether you prefer the traditional 193 Apex with dinette slide, or what I am calling here the 194 Apex with sofa slide, remember, Haylet's had it first. So give us a call, 800-256-5196. We do hitching, pieces, parts, trades, finance, truck and trailer package deals, RV delivery, and everything in between. So take care, stay safe, have fun, and happy camping, everyone. 3,490 pounds as shown here in Summit Edition. This is a beautiful and extremely popular Apex 193 bunkhouse with dinette slide here at Haylet RV of Coldwater, Michigan. If what you're looking for is that, smaller 2 single bunk camping experience, but you need a little bit of floor space and you want to sit a couple more people at the dinette, this is exactly the trailer I think you should be considering. And with handy little features like solar prep, ASDAL, and that beautiful front windshield, you've got yourself something you can really be proud of, and something that just might turn a couple heads when you pull into the next campsite. Now, one of the great aspects of this floor plan right here is that with the slide closed, you have full access to everything. You can walk through, you can get to the bathroom, you can get to the bunks, you can get to the storage, you can get to it all. And really, it's that slide out that differentiates this one from the 185 BH Apex. They're effectively the same RV, the only difference being that this one has a dinette slide. Now, it's going to give us a nice chunk of open floor space, and you might notice how there are no heat vents in the floor here. So, having this thing, keeping it clean with all the kids coming and going, not a problem, no sweat. The biggest difference is that we have more floor space, and we have a full 4-person dinette over here as compared to a common 2-person dinette in a no-slide, narrow-body little bunkhouse. This and the Winnebago 2100 BH will share a floor plan, and we carry both of them here at Haylet RV so that you can kind of decide which one has the features and which one best fits your budget. And they both make a smaller version with no dinette. So, I mean, whether you want up, down, left, right, or in between, we have it all here at Haylet RV. Now, that front wall there with that front windshield, it does have a privacy shade, and that is part of the Summit package. But you'll notice that there are large windows that can open for airflow all over the place in here. So it's always going to be comfortable. Now, we put the, I think it's called Comfort Package on this, which adds the 13,500 BTU air conditioner as well as the propane furnace on here. So you should not have any trouble being comfortable inside of the RV. And if you're looking for something for like, buddy hunting camping, understand that this isn't like Arctic rated. But as long as you're not going to run water through the RV, if all you're going to do is like keep it winterized and just try to sleep inside of it, that furnace should not have a problem keeping up in this little space. Now, what's kind of cool here is you have this whole sort of like headboard shelf, which is very handy for like throwing a phone or something up there. But you see that you also have this recessed storage pocket inside of there as well. Plus, we have that full storage cabinet above the bed to really maximize our total cubic foot of storage capacity. Starting up top, they actually give you a very, functional overhead cabinet. And I really stress that because there are a lot of bullet nose trailers with that sort of aerodynamic sweep on the front that will give you a very tiny space. But as I get up here, you see that, yeah, there's actually a decent amount of depth to that, and it can actually be useful and functional. Now, down below the bed, notice that we can get to the storage from inside or outside. Now, Apex is a little more, especially in the Nano series, this is like, all thriller, no filler, no nonsense. And there are little things like this doesn't have bed struts to lift that. But typically you're not going to access that bed storage, the underbed storage, by lifting up the bed deck. You just simply do have the ability to do so. Now, if the only thing stopping you from taking this thing home is a couple bed struts, well, you just give us a call here at Haylett RV and we can make that happen. That is no sweat. But what I found is that for $0 additional, the Jack Crank makes a pretty darn good bed stand, doesn't it? Look at that, doing its job, holding it up there. Now, you might notice that underneath the bed we have plywood decking. You'll find the same thing below the dinette as well, and we'll get there in just a second. I do want to point out that all of our cabinet doors are all hardwood framed with pocket screwed cabinetry. So this is built small. It's built to be price sensitive, but it's not built to be cheap or chintz. There's a big difference in logic there. You will also find intelligent use of good materials here. Like you have sealed edge countertops, whether it's here, in the bathroom, on the dining area. Everything has a pressed membrane to keep the water out. And speaking of water, we have 30 gallon holding tanks, fresh gray and black. So that's pretty darn good for a camper this size for dry camping. You really can't put bigger tanks on it. That's really pushing the boundaries as it is. Now you notice that they're also giving you a double sink in a class that very often has a less expensive single sink. So they are doing what they can where they can to make this smart and functional. We have a Bluetooth Bluetooth stereo only, not DVD over here. But I think for a lot of media purposes, people tend to stream media off their phones nowadays, which, by the way, if you're curious, the TV hookups, should you choose to add a TV, which most people don't seem to do with the Nano, so you can add one on the wall up here. The cabinet space below the sink, we're gaining that extra drawer there as part of the Summit package, which is where the nose cap and windshield comes from. But note, too, the location of the microwave. They specifically mount it down here in the location you would normally find the oven. It's easier for the kids to get to. Also, it means that you're not losing potential overhead cabinet space. Speaking of which, above the refrigerator, you have an additional handy little cabinet right here. Now, someone's going to ask, why did they block it off? Why doesn't it go all the way back? And that's for refrigerator venting purposes. That needs to be there because you might notice how this has a larger, full-size 6 cubic foot fridge freezer. And in single-axle campers, it's becoming more common, but it's still not found across the board. And, you know, you can always find another way to store dry goods, clothes. You can come up with something else, and in the bathroom of this, you'll find it has an extra cabinet, which is really handy. But cold storage, you need something that can keep it cold, and that bigger fridge is worth so much right there. Now, eagle-eyed viewers are going to note there is not a stovetop vent hood above that stovetop. So you're like, dude, what gives? I thought you said they weren't chintz. They're not. They made one thing do two things for half the cost. And that is because they turned what is basically a kitchen skylight here into a power vent fan to give you double function. Because this RV has a mini vaulted ceiling. It's got a 2.5-inch vault. We all know heat rises, right? So organically, the heat will pool at the top of the RV, especially with that fan running. It will pull in fresh, cooler air from outside, assuming you have the windows open, and it will cycle out the hot air through the top of the RV and keep that air flowing and keep you a little bit cooler. Very simple, smart design right there. Now, over here in the dinette, a couple things I want to point out. Remember that we do have that nicer sealed edge countertop material going on there. One key thing to note, too, is that here in the 193, as compared to the 185 Apex, this has a full 4-person dinette. So not only are we gaining extra floor space, we're gaining extra seating space. Now the Summit package gives us a bench end door over here, so you don't necessarily have to, disassemble half the dinette to get to it, although you still could, just like I've done on the opposite side here. And of course, like any dinette, you can simply fold this down into a bonus sleeping space, which is really handy if you need that extra sleeping space right there. And all the windows here are going to have pleated shades with the exception of the kitchen window, just to make sure it meets fire code. That is an excellent thing for keeping sun out on a hot day as well. Those are actually more effective than just pulling the shades like that is literally more effective than those thousands of dollars people sometimes spend on fifth wheels with dual pane windows. We're not a big fan of the dual panes here because they're expensive, and they don't work very well. So not only are they stupid, but they're also dumb. But this is probably how you're going to spend most of your time with this dinette. And remember, once again, this is a full 4-person dinette due to the fact that it has the extra space from the slide out as compared to the 185 BH or maybe the 1700 BH Winnebago or any of those no-slide little BHs effectively. Man, you gotta be careful how you say that. It almost sounds like I'm cursing or something. Doesn't matter. Anyway, moving over here, we have our 2 single bunks, which would be good for the little kiddos there. And they each have their own light, which is pretty darn handy. So, one thing I really want to hit on here is that they really killed this bathroom. Usually in single axle mini campers like this, you'll have a toilet sitting next to a shower, and that is it. But notice that we have extra floor space to get dressed when you get out of the shower. We have a full countertop and sink in the bathroom of this little guy, and that's a huge, huge difference, is that this has a sink in the bathroom, whereas so many of these little campers lack that feature. We also have a full medicine cabinet. We have dual lights in here, a power vent fan even, a skylight above the shower. But here's where I think this one's really cool. Let me get in here, because it's at an angle where still photos even are kind of tricky. They include an extra closet right here in the bathroom of the, well, in a sense, not even an extra closet, because there's really no main closet in the primary body of the RV. So this is giving us that extra either pantry storage, dry storage, clothing storage. You could add shelves in here if need be. And it's little details like that that separate this one. And that's where I say all the time that, you know, Apexes, they know small camping. They are small camping done right. They are simple where they should be and fancy where they could be. And they crush that description. Now, one of the things that makes this RV work so well, one of the things that allows them to have a little bit bigger bathroom, but still a manageable weight tag, is a material called Azdel. A lot of folks are familiar with it, but a lot of folks are not. So if you're one of those folks who is not, understand that Azdel is a wood substitute. It's actually going to be the layer under the fiberglass of the sidewalls of this Apex. It is a resin material. It's lighter weight, significantly, and it cannot rot, mold, or mildew. Now, it has a couple other supplemental benefits, like it's a little better against noise reduction. It's a little better against heat, but its primary purpose is it's just a hard moisture barrier that's lighter weight. Now, another thing that's really cool here, a lot of people like a walk-around front bed, and I get it, but this east-west bed gives us a huge pass-through compartment. And remember, if you have to, you can even lift the bed to get to it. And where that's handy is if you are going to go off-grid boondocking with those bigger holding tanks, you've got a simple side-mount solar prep plug right here, and you've got plenty of room to keep those panels in there. Now, Summit Edition is going to upgrade us from the plastic little hooky holdbacks. That's a technical term, mind you, hooky holdback, hashtag hooky holdback. And you can find that in my book of nerdisms. They're all number 37, by the way. The only reason why is because... And we also have hidden hinges, or pardon me, protected hinges on all of our baggage doors here. Once again, simple where they should be, but fancy where they could be. I also do want to point out the fact that we have 4-corner stabilizer jacks on here, because when you're in this class and category, there's quite a few little campers that have only rear jacks. Now, the profile of this thing has got a good sharp look, and that, again, that nose cap and that windshield, because it is a windshield, not a window, it really just sets the tone. You know, you've got a good-looking adventure waiting for you right here. Now, another thing that's kind of neat is they have large baggage doors on both sides of the camper. So it doesn't matter where you put your cargo, you can get to it. And God forbid it shifts where you don't want it to, lift the bed up, get to it there. Now you have a self-adjusting slide system here, so you should never need to go to a service shop to get a slide adjustment. And we have seal gripping, leak preventing slide walls, so that wiper seal is always wiped in or out as it is supposed to be. Notice that the windows are very heavily tinted. That'll help keep out the nosy neighbors and Mother Nature, because it'll keep the sun out of here. Now, some things like the 2100 Winnebago, they'll have a bunkhouse like storage cargo door back here. Apex doesn't do that. There's some people who are like, yeah, I'm spooked by that, because either I'm afraid someone's going to grab my kids, or I'm afraid my kids are going to try to sneak out of the camper. So now they can't. Now instead, we have the perfect little spot here to keep a tote for all your black tank stuff, and wouldn't you know it, there's where the dump is located, and all of our hookups are in one intelligent location, including both an outside utility shower and a black tank flush system. Now, even little details here, like Winnebago's using nicer bumper end caps so that they don't tend to bounce off in transit. It's just little smart details like that that go a long way for me. Now, the construction of this thing, this is all aluminum skeleton. We have laminated roof, walls, and floor, and that is to help keep the weight down and again keep the longevity up. And in terms of longevity and service records, there are very few things that rival these Apexes. We have plenty of RVs here at Haylitz that I'm very proud of. I'm very happy with our lineup, actually. I don't think we really have anything where I'm like, yeah, those are a little bit problematic. And I'm not saying that we only sell the good stuff. There's plenty of other good RVs out there, guys. But brands like Apex, Winnebago, Passport, they have like a sterling standard of service. Things like Rockwoods have always had a super high above average status. They're excellent. But I really stress it on these Apexes because people, they don't give them the credit they're due. You look at this and you say, yeah, well, it's less expensive than something like that Winnebago. I guess, you know, I'm going to sacrifice a little bit of quality, but save some money. You need to understand that quality and cost are two unrelated factors. Something can be less expensive and still be exceptionally well built, and that's exactly what we're looking at here at an Apex. Now we're just a little too short to fully open that awning. So understand, the last 6 inches that awning rolls out, it also sweeps downward. So normally the awning wouldn't be sticking straight up in the air like it is currently, but I did want you to guys to sort of get an idea of what we're looking at here. So under the awning, it is tilt and lock arm with an auto rain dump feature via that little gas strut over there. And you notice that it's white underneath. And part of the reason is, with the LED lights under this awning, that will help cascade and reflect more indirect light onto your campsite. But did you notice a second set of lights? We have speaker lighting built right into this, and these have their own separate switch. So if you want a funky little blue glow at night, well, you have it here. If you're looking for just a normal white glow at night, you got it. Or you can kick them both on. And what's cool is the colors will just kind of mishmash and merge, and it all works together. You've got one seamless, cohesive color package on this thing. And little smart attention to detail factors like that really impress me. And here's a look at the little nose accent light. I did not have that on currently. It's, during the day, not the most impressive thing to look at, but at night, it glows pretty nicely. And again, it will accent very nicely with the awning and speaker lights that we've already seen. And there you have it, guys. Whether it's hitching pieces, parts, trades, financing, truck and trailer package deals, RV delivery, and everything in between, we do it all at Haylet RV, but we don't do hidden dealer fees. So take care, stay safe, have fun, and happy camping, everyone. I hope to see you soon.